Hi there, my name's Amy Walker and I'm the Diversity and Inclusion Coordinator here at GroupM. I'm also on the autistic spectrum. For this Autism Awareness Month, we wanted to raise awareness of what it's like to be autistic in the workplace. So we've invited 4 different autistic people in who are at different levels of their career to show the diversity of people on the spectrum. Enjoy.
I'm Ellie, I work at NABS, which is the Advertising and Media Industry Charity, and I work in our partnerships team, which means I spend quite a lot of my time going out to agencies just like this to talk about how NABS can help your people be happier and healthier in what they do.
My name is Ian Adam Bellamy. I work in the field of training and professional development, and what that means is that I help run a national training programme for professionals working in education, and I help to create and develop training materials.
My name is Helen and I'm a management consultant in financial services.
Well, my name is Jasmine and my current job is I'm part of the student union at Royal Holloway University of London as a help desk assistant. I was diagnosed at the age of between 2 and 3, although originally they thought I could be anything from deaf to having a developmental language disorder, but over time as I grew up and interacted with the world around me, it became apparent that I had high sensitivity to light, sound, interactions, besides kind of social anxiety as well, which is all kind of part of it. They realised that, oh, wait, no, you're on the autistic spectrum.
I was diagnosed with autism at the age of 10 by a clinical child psychologist, just if that's of any help with that, because people sometimes encounter a number of healthcare professionals as they are seeking a diagnosis.
I was diagnosed when I was 20, so that was midway through my second year at university.
I was diagnosed about 1.5 years ago in June 2017. The way I experience the world tends to be quite observational, in that I spend a lot of time having to process things first before I really know how I feel about it. So if you ask me straight away how I feel about things, I can't always tell you. I need to think things through.
I'd say maybe points of view and kind of perspective. I understand maybe inequalities more, I guess, to do with disability. For example, even if I don't have that particular disability, if I'm reading something to do with autism, an article related to maybe wheelchair exclusivity or something on public transport, I would then click onto that link and understand more. And maybe people who are neurotypical may not want to engage as much as they can't relate.
So my autism manifests itself in a number of different ways. One of the issues is with the environment that I have to live and work in. So ever since I was a child, I've found that I'm very conscious of noise, or what I would perceive as additional noise, as unnecessary noise. I think a lot of people would just see that as background, as everyday information, and they would be able to take that and to filter it out and to focus on one thing. It's something that I can still do and that I practice with, but what I find is just, say, if I'm walking and I can particularly pick up on individual noises, and that can sometimes be quite distracting, and I need to refocus on things.
There are so many things from the macro, so the social difficulties, to the micro, which might just be a slightly different take on something that is different. But fundamentally, diagnostic criteria aside, every person's different. And I just think I deviate from that norm perhaps a little bit more than most people. Because my social abilities are not really intuitive, they're things I have to work very hard at, I sometimes might get quite a lot of what's going on in the room that most people don't, because they're just on autopilot doing what they do.
A characteristic of my autism that helps me at work is simply the fact that I'm able to focus on a particular task to a very great depth and detail. It's one of my strengths, where I'm actually able to take something that I've got to do, something that I've got to work on, and to be able to work through it in a very logical and a very a very systematic way, and actually it's been quite advantageous to me in the role that I'm trying to perform, because it's one of these roles where I think very few people are comfortable actually doing that or are able to do that, and to devote that time and attention that's needed in order to be able to work through such a volume of material when you're trying to build up large-scale programs, large sets of materials.
I suppose accountability. I have an OCD to not be late, and I hate being late, so punctuality and coordination, being able to do everything during that time would help. And if someone comes to me with a problem, although I'm not the best at communicating itself, I can find other ways and alternative solutions to what they're talking about through kind of like just, I guess, a different means of logic, which I'm used to compared to, say, neurotypical people.
Big picture thinking, joining the dots on random bits of information, and tenacity. Fewer mental health issues from staff who are not struggling with anxiety, increased loyalty, and it's widely reported that embracing neurodiversity can lead to increased productivity, innovation and creativity, and also disruption. I mean, people keep talking about wanting disruptive companies, and yet when you have a disruptive individual, they're viewed in the negative. But if your overall goal is to be disruptive, you need people to disrupt, which can lead to new ideas, and who knows where that can take you.
I think an organisation will be more perceptive, it will be more productive, and it'll be more robust.
If suddenly you're employing people with disabilities, then it enables like other people to realise that, wait, no, I can do this. It gives them kind of a new sense of freedom and self-motivation.
Having people who are neurodiverse or actually in any way diverse in an organisation creates friction. When shapes don't match, things can be harder, but you can create something so much better because of it. I think you also create a more tolerant, accepting workforce. And I think in any organisation, that is something you really want to promote. And having people who are different in the organisation can be a great way of doing that. Ask good questions and care about the answers.
Take the time to understand or think about where there might be sensory issues or even just the social demands of the job, and how to work with someone to reduce social demands and sensory overload.
Maintain an open dialogue. If we can understand each other from the start, then it becomes easier when you're further down the line, sort of see the things that we're working on, where we're going, and to actually be able to communicate that very freely and easily.
There's a saying in the neurodiversity community that if you've met one person with autism, you've met one person with autism. Just like people who are neurotypical, people who are on the spectrum are all different. It's a very human impulse to want to put people in boxes, slap a label on and say that's it. But I would say embrace the differences in people who are on the spectrum. I am not at all stereotypical. That doesn't mean I'm not disabled. It might just mean I hide it better.
Hopefully that's given you some insight into the diversity of people on the autistic spectrum. In the next two videos, we're going to take a deeper dive into the everyday life of people on the spectrum and answer some of the questions that you sent in to us. Don't forget that you can join the Neurodiversity Champions by emailing me on allmeansall@groupm.com.